Former Prime Minister and AZMIO leader Raila Odinga has declared interest in the AU Commission chairperson seat.
I will myself be keen to serve the continent of Africa.
A position that is very important as far as the day-to-day running of the African Union is concerned. Now today, we want to see how Raila Odinga can replace Mussa Faki, whose second and final term is coming to an end early next year. Indeed, a huge leadership transition is expected at the African Union come 2025. For Kenya, the stakes are high, and the president has kicked off campaigns way ahead of time. He has been reaching out to heads of state and governments in Eastern Africa to sell the candidature of Raila Odinga, the opposition chief and former prime minister. William Ruto recently visited his Ugandan counterpart, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in the company of Odinga. The two sought endorsement from a country that was accused of not supporting then Foreign Affairs CS Amina Mohamed for the Commission's top seat in 2017. Mohamed lost the seat to the current chair, Mussa Faki of Chad, despite appearing as a frontrunner before the election.
Zote, we are going to put on our jogging shoes to make sure we rotate around Africa to campaign for Raila Amolo Odinga to be the next chairman of the African Union.
Raila Odinga, serikali inapigana kwamba apate nafasi ya kuwa kiongozi wa AU, Africa Union. Na hudumie wa Afrika wazima. William Ruto pamoja na mawaziri wake wamekuwa katika kampeni ya kutaka apewe hicho kiti. Labda maoni yako kama mzee wa hapa Gatanga.
Hayo iko wazi kabisa, na hakuna mtu hata mimi mwenyewe nikisikia unapinga ati Raila asikuwe ati yeye anasimamia hiyo kiti, nitakuona wewe umeanguka kabisa. Raila hako katika siasa za Kenya. Raila anachukua sasa Kenya mzima, Afrika mzima. Ndio anaenda kuongea maneno yake. Haongei maneno ya hapa ati nataka president na nini na nini na nini. Kwa hivyo hata mimi mwenyewe nikimsikia wewe unapinga Raila asichaguliwe, mimi nitakutupa mbali.
The candidature of Raila Odinga has received the support of the Kenya Kwanza administration led by President William Ruto. Now the next question is, will Kenya and Raila Odinga be able to marshal enough support for him to be elected the next president of the AU Commission? William Ruto's first headache will be to lobby for support from East and Central Africa region on Odinga's behalf. Rumors of Tanzania's former president Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete also seeking the position has cooled down, at least for now. But a unified regional bloc will give Odinga's candidature a boost, given how the voting happens. Raila Odinga has expressed interest in the AU Commission chairperson seat, and he's received quite a number of support, and especially from the Kenya Kwanza administration. We have seen him in Uganda. We saw him in Namibia talking to several presidents, some of whom they say they are friends to Raila Odinga. What are his chances from where you sit?
I think his chances are very high, and I say high because of who he is within the African continent, and he's just the outgoing infrastructure advisor to the African Union. So that in itself, he already has space. He's been working in that space. He's not new to the space. And then, of course, he's never been a president per se of Kenya, but he's known, he's been contesting regularly, and also he's very in touch with issues of Africa's development. and he keeps in touch with those issues.
The new chair will be elected at the next AU summit in 2025. The chairperson of the AU Commission is elected by the Assembly for a 4-year term, renewable once. Others to be elected are the deputy chairperson and 6 commissioners who, together with the chair, make up the commission's top leadership. Monique Nzanza-Baganwa from Rwanda is the current deputy and became the first female to occupy the position. Elections are conducted by a secret ballot, and the winning candidate must garner a 2/3 majority of the member states eligible to vote. Personal relationships built by Raila across the continent during his long political career are viewed as some of the strength his bid might have, but turning them into votes is a different ballgame altogether.
As far as the lobbying, which is very critical, the lobbying that goes on before you become an AU chair is intense, and is not a lobbying of riffraffs, ordinary people. This is a lobbying among almost peers. And I think although Raila Odinga has not been the president, he has a lot of peers within the AU in terms of the various leaders that those who wield power within the EU. And of course, even if I say that, it's not going to be a walkover.
If Odinga is endorsed by East African countries, his bid could see regional and language issues resurface. Kenya's Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi recently argued that the Central, Southern and Western Africa regions have had their share since 2002. So it is now time for the Eastern and Northern Africa regions. He argued further, under the rotational rules, Eastern Africa has the first opportunity when the term of the current chair expires end of this year.
When you look at those who have held that position before, I believe strictly it should be the turn of East Africa. Not too long ago we had Southern Africa. The one now whose time will be ending is Central Africa. Before that, as I said, we had Konare from West Africa. I believe it should be the turn of Eastern Africa.
Of course, I'm lucky, we might be lucky if the Eastern African region, the East African community, I think that's the first backing that Raila needs. He needs the backing from the Eastern African community, the East African region, not the East African community, the Eastern African region, including the Horn of Africa, the Ethiopians, Eritreans and the rest. If that can be captured, then now you don't spend a lot of time home. But if the home ground, like was being alleged at one point that Kikwete would be fronted as well, if Kikwete was also to be fronted, that already would be the first problematic aspect,
During the 2017 election in which Amina Mohamed lost, languages played a big role. Voting and lobbying for the AU vote took the line of Francophone states versus Anglophones. Will it play a role again?
So how crucial is it when it comes to the voting of the AU Commission chairperson, the Anglophone bloc and the Francophone?
Very important, and actually it's worth making sure that you get the other phones, the Francophones. If you can get the Francophones on board, the better. Because usually people who speak the same language tend to have a lot of collaborations together. Yes. They even have those alliances and commitments together, to the extent that if you go to their big entity, like for example, if you go to the East African community and you are sold there, your chances of selling is much, much higher. So I guess the tough part of it is to penetrate the Francophone. And the Francophone in recent times is very complex as well. Although you have a lot of these uprisings coming up. Look at Burkina Faso, look at Chad and all that. I don't know whether those will have votes. Maybe they won't have votes. That split that is like threatening to come out of ECOWAS, with Burkina Faso and Chad feeling like they don't want to listen ECOWAS and what ECOWAS wants to say. So that also will complicate a bit of campaigning. But the campaign has to be done, the lobbying has to be done. And I don't know whether it's too early, but it's always good to be too early. But it might also be too early. I think we've begun it maybe too early, I don't know. But we wait to see whether there will be other contestants. Yeah.
Well, many people have been asking me who can become the chairperson of the AU Commission. Here's your answer. These are individuals who have significant experience in governance, international relations, and diplomacy.
In choosing names, member states are required to pick not only the former heads of state or foreign ministers, but also Africans who have excelled at statecraft in other domains, such as the UN system.
Because we believe that people who have held the position of head of government, either at the prime minister level or at the presidential level, will be able to knock at the door of incumbent prime ministers and presidents without much ado. And such people will probably be the right person, armed with other attributes.
Countries have until May 2024 to submit the names of their preferred candidate. The chairperson is responsible for shaping the continent's economic, political, and security agenda. He is also the chief executive officer, legal representative of the AU, and the Commission's chief accounting officer. The Commission is the administrative branch of 10 commissioners who hold individual portfolios. It implements AU policies and coordinates the body's activities and meetings.
We've seen quite a number of issues coming up during Mussa Faki's time. We have seen coups, we have seen terror, and especially when we are talking about the Sahel region. Sudan is in turmoil. Probably from where you sit, are this going to be the first assignment of the next AU Commission chairperson, which most Kenyans are hoping will be Raila Odinga?
Yeah, I think those are going to be really issues on table because they are ongoing. You cannot undermine them. And we also know that Africa is ongoing with infrastructure development. That is really, really highly placed infrastructure development, which is going on with a number of big projects that he will also be on board. So as much as you will be onboarding and monitoring projects, the issue of crisis and all these coups and uprisings across country, because if you don't address the uprisings and the coups, then you have no continent to even do infrastructure on. So for sure, the uprisings and coups become quite a priority. And this is something that is being seen almost globally, that democracy is retrogressing, and you are seeing autocrats coming to power, and more autocrats are coming to power. And if they are not autocrats, they are populists. Populists that are running away with countries and issues, and people don't even know with clarity, where they are heading.
My name is Enoch Sikolia, and I am the Kenyan historian.